Greetings, visitors. Welcome once more to a tale of the adventures of those brave heroes as recorded in the tome of Benchleydale and Beyond. I once more do open the seals in honor of Lord Timothy of Connolly. And thus do we begin again. After having dealt handily with all manner of jungle nonsense in the wilderness, it was brave Chadwick and company who arrived largely unscathed in the jungle town of Ha-ha! A scant 11 miles from the barrier peaks. Ye might be wondering, whilst in the wilderness, did Chadwick and company slay a bloodthirsty Tyrannocops? Try this again. After having dealt handily with all manner of jungle nonsense in the wilderness, it was brave Chadwick and company who arrived largely unscathed in the jungle town of Ha-ha! A scant 11 miles from the barrier peaks. Ye might be wondering, whilst in the wilderness, did Chadwick and company slay a bloodthirsty Tyrannocops? Nay. This isn't the Tyrannocops hunting season. Their hunting of would-be heroes, that is. That's not for another 2 months. Did they stare down Growlthrax, the mighty jungle dragon lord? Nay, that behemoth is miles away to the north, and busy keeping a watchful eye on Baba Yaga's hut. Did they square off against the salivating shitbird of Bartha Bonserly? Nay. The Bonds was likely enduring crappy days elsewhere at the time. Did they lay low the lost incandescent purple quicksand golems of Melthrandria, the witch queen? Nay, these monstrosities did wreak havoc upon their guides, though. Did they enter the frightening bone zone? Nay, they value their lives, you see. Let us not marginalize the accomplishment of Chadwick and company, however, for even just to survive the plentiful threats of the juicy jungle for a short time is still worthy of praise. Any roads, whilst in the jungle town of Ha-ha, Chadwick and company witnessed an unannounced torching of a tavern called the Nearest Watering Hole. The tavern's proprietor, Nuggy, the half-beholder, squandered little time drowning his sorrels on Melfinberry mead afterwards, as one might well imagine. Oh, that poor fellow. The stress being far too much for Nuggy, he soon had heart failure. Not to worry, though, for it was Floby-One who resuscitated Nuggy. More about Floby-Wan later. All was not lost for the heroes, though, as 2 other taverns still remain in town. Snake's Breath Saloon, run by Flanagan, and the Roaring Lion, run by Sir Goonoff. There'll be plenty more opportunities for Chadwick and company to wet their whistles. During a visit to the Snake's Breath Saloon, it was Calcath and Hardcore who struck up a conversation with Brownfane of the YPAMPT Thieves Guild, one of 2 such guilds in town. The other one being Mineral House, run by Fluto Flutarski and D-Day Stash. A bargain was struck in exchange for Calcath vandalizing the Mineral House and spying on D-Day Stash. Brownfang agreed to introduce Calcath to his own guild masters at the YPAMPT. Your pockets are my pockets too. And this would, of course, be none other than Ro Minhans and Rue Shinfingers, 2 of the jungle's most famous thieves. Feeling a bit lusty, it was Evo the cleric who made his way toward one of the town's 2 inns, the Nighty Night. Accompanied by Chadwick's henchman Dmitri, it was here that Evo met wonderful women, including the famous treasure hunter Zindi Anamones. Yes, indeed, that very same Zindi Anamones who once found the lost ruby flute of Anzaziphius, the lost amethyst water cistern of Mojo Nunstance, the lost mysterious skull collection of Zamaldijian, and the lost turquoise pearl necklace of Queen Legzajar. Feeling a bit curious, it was Chadwick and Danko who paid a visit to Floby-Wan, the old potion maker, who lives on the far side of town, over near where Grotus the farmer keeps a happy acre of rutabagas and turnips going strong for the town people. Grotus also grows 2 rather soulful plants indigenous to this part of the juicy jungle, plants known as shouts and shamalanga-ding-dongs. No stranger to scum or villainy. Perhaps old Floby-Wan will have secrets to share with Chadwick and company. This old potion maker may even know the location of a survivor from a prior expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Meanwhile, on another inn across town called the Bronze, its owner Fifi and its head of security Goose Bronze were glad to welcome our heroes to the jungle town of Ha-Ha and see to it that they had pleasant room and board during their stay. Fifi and Goose both seemed to be rugged and trustworthy, as if perhaps they'd already seen more than their fair share of dungeon delving and demon spanking. Riders suddenly approached from the southeast on horseback. It was Sir Hungalingus of Hawk's Landing and his squire Bellows, accompanied by Snizban the magic user and his henchman Three-Fingered Yeet. It is never wise to travel through these lands unchaperoned, especially when one is a magic user in need of material components for his spells. After a long day of foraging for bat guano, sulfur, amber, licorice, root, clay, miniature carp, pearls, owl feathers, and tortoise shells, Snizban and his cohorts were ready to relax and take the edge off. It was treasure hunter Zindi Anamoans who agreed to guide Chadwick and Company towards the area of their mission objective in the Barrier Peaks. Chadwick and Company ought to consider themselves rather fortunate, for Zindi Anamoans is on a quest of her own to find the lost Hammer Whelm, believed to be beneath or deep inside of the White Plume Mountain, 50 miles away to the west. Whelm belongs in a museum, you see. Not beneath some damned mountain where none can appreciate it. As for what happens next, we shall find out soon enough, my dear lords and ladies. Join us next time as we continue to chronicle these blood-curdling tales of Chadwick and Company and their spine-tingling expedition to the Barrier Peaks. And thank you, lords and ladies. Until next time, farewell.